Movement! Right then, time to get this little guy moving round. Because at the moment when we press play, he just drops down to the ground and he basically sits there. So we are going to add 12 player, a new component, and I'll get that by dragging down to the bottom. So it's add component here. And sometimes it's nice just to minimize all these if you're not using them, just to keep it tidy. And with add component, we're going to start typing in the name of the script we're going to make. Now, when I click in, type in player movement, can't have any spaces in there. It's going to say, I don't recognize what player movement is. So you're basically saying, yeah, I want to make something new, which is a new script called player movement, create an ad. And this will then appear here. Now, when you click on it, it will actually show you what the code is, which has been generated already. We can't edit it here at all. So when we double click on this, it will open up in Visual Studio for us to use. Now, in fact, I want you to get rid of all of this and all of this code here, and there's quite a few lines of it. It's basically what's make our player move and able to move left, right, forward, back, and be able to look around as well using the mouse cursor. So I'm not going to explain this code because I don't actually understand what it all does because I haven't really looked at it, but I know it works. So the idea is you're going to copy this either by copying and pasting and or type it up yourself. And the idea is when it goes yellow like this, it's basically saying none of this stuff has been saved here, so it's not going to actually update here at all. Where it's saying this is what the code is. That's basically the last time it was saved. That's what it shows. But I'm going to save that, and it all goes green to say, okay, that's saved. Now it's not saying that it works, it's just saying that it's saved. And when we come back onto Unity, it has a little kind of like think about it. It does all this compiling, it checks all the code is right, and when it says hold on, it should mean everything's okay. Now, if there are errors with the code, you will get like red text down here, which will say what the error is and also tell you what line as well. So if it says like line 11, for example, we'd need to come back onto here, go to line 11 and try to figure out what's wrong with it. And it kind of gives you a bit of help with that as well. So as you can see, it's all updated now on the right hand side, so it's all saved. And when I press play, it won't work. Now I know it sounds stupid, it won't work, but the idea is if I actually click on player where this code has been added, we've got all these things which have been set within the code. We can change them here in terms of how fast we want to move, if we're walking, if we're running. There are different buttons as well for crouching and so on, which I'll need to go and have a look at some stage. But the big thing is saying, well, the camera needs to follow us. So it should still work if I press play, but the issue is, oh no, no, it won't work at all. We will have an error message. It might come up in yellow or red down here, but just to show you, it does fall down and we can move. Oh, it does work then. But the problem is the camera isn't actually following us at all. Um, so we can literally go off screen. And as you can see, I'm interacting with the terrain we built in our last video, which is kind of cool. But we want the camera to be following us. And there is a red error message down here, look, saying actually, I don't know how to kind of follow you then. Now, to stop it playing, because this code is running, my cursor disappears unless I take it off the game. So if you press escape, then the cursor appears, and then you can press play there. Now, what we'll need to do to get the camera to follow us is literally, if I don't know why it's doing this, but I'm just going to buy some time. I press play again, that's why. Um, if I drag the main camera and pop it here where it says camera, and then press play, then we shouldn't have any error message, and the camera should follow us around. But, and there is a but to this, it'll drop down, we'll move about, but the camera is still kind of stationary. So we haven't got our error message anymore down here, but I can actually, but it is starting to follow what I'm doing on the cursor with the mouse, and so I'm able to look up and down. So that bit's working. But the reason why it's not working, so if I just press play to stop it again, the camera itself needs to be dragged into the word player here. So it actually becomes apparent. The player is, well, the camera is within the player now, literally not here on the actual game itself. And you'll see there are more issues now when I come to that. But this time the camera should start following us around. I'm hoping. But I know there are going to be problems with this. So it drops down, and as we move, it is following us, but you can't actually see the player. And the reason why, so I'm going to press escape again, I'm going to press play, is because within our actual game itself, if we zoom down to where our camera is and we go to the move bit, there is quite a distance between us and the player. So when the player drops, so I think there's a distance about 20 in height between these, then our camera will drop 20 down, which takes us through the ground. So what we need to do is basically move our camera, and I'll do it like this. I'll have to manipulate it a little bit as well. And can I move up that way manually? So we're a little bit closer to it. I'm kind of looking at this here to get an idea of it. If I move myself up here a bit as well, zoom in a bit more again so I can kind of get a bit of a better idea of where I am. So I'm going to bring it a bit closer. I don't want to be too close because remember I did have it rotated a bit. Did I have it rotated? I didn't actually, did I? So I'm going to rotate it down a little bit and move it up a little bit. And this time, when I press play, the camera will stay above the player, behind the player, looking down at the player. That's the plan. I might have to change the rotation a little bit because actually that's not bad like that. So look at this then. So as I move in, the camera's following me. That's kind of cool. And I'm able to look around as well. And I'm sure if I press space bar, I can jump. So this is all part of the code as well. So if I come down here, I can jump away. But my issue is, and that's an issue which can be fixed, if you keep an eye on the Y coordinate over on the right hand side, so if I press escape so I can point out to you, we're currently at 1.9. And if I jump off, see the Y coordinate? What's going on? Oh, it's actually, I thought I'd fall, but I didn't fall. But I must have fallen because everything's disappeared. So I've actually fallen off at this point. But anyway, that's how you make a player move. So the next thing I'll be looking at doing probably is how to collect things, how to kind of die, maybe have enemies in there as well. I haven't decided yet, but that's what I'm pretty much going to do.